The one thing that you will always hear every time you get in a little bit of a rocky place in the relationship, when maybe both of you are just pulling in your own direction and you can't really seem to find a way together. Compromise. That's it. Just find a compromise. And look, as long as the compromise is reached in a healthy way, as long as both of you are feeling good about it, it is actually the right solution. The problem is that sometimes compromise is not even a compromise. It's just you basically neglecting yourself. So there's that. And in today's video, we are gonna take the lovely Mrs. Bradshaw and the handsome Mr. Shaw. We're gonna look at their ways of compromising, and we're gonna dissect when are you actually compromising and it is a healthy thing, and when are you just a dum-dum. Sorry, I said it. We narrate, we analyze, we often judge, and we like to believe that we know better and would do better. Hopefully. Aiden has a cabin in the countryside. It's something he is investing in.
Wow. Yeah, the place looks great.
You know how it goes. You sacrifice your mental health to stack that coin in the city and then invest that coin on the cabin in the woods so you can get in touch with the nature again. Awaken the man inside. And women usually do the gardening. Honestly, I kind of hope I'll get to that point in my life. But as much as Aiden is excited for this new adventure, Carrie isn't.
Could I see the before again?
You kind of have to be there to appreciate it.
No, I can't appreciate it from here.
People, Carrie is a city girl, okay? And city girls do not like the countryside, okay? They hate it, according to this show and every Christmas rom-com. So when Aiden asks her to go with him, the answer is simple. No, can't do. It's not her thing. She also has a meeting that weekend and, it's just not gonna work out. But Aiden is persistent. She's gonna go with him to the cabin, whether she likes it or not.
Nothing left to talk about.
Yes, there is.
You're not actually going, are you?
Well, if by going you mean being taken against my will and kidnapped, then yes, I'm going.
So there it is. Carrie needs to go to the countryside with Aiden. But she is trying to pull all the strings possible to maybe ease her pain just a little bit. She tries to convince at least one of her friends to join her. And when none of the girls is excited about it, they kind of even ask her why is she doing this. But it's simple. Aiden loves the country. Carrie loves Aiden. So Carrie needs to go to the country. Miranda is a little bit sus about this little decision. Clearly, Carrie doesn't want to go, so why is she doing this? Is she just pretending to be someone she isn't so she can be in the relationship?
I see. You need to pretend to be someone else to be in a relationship.
No, I believe the word you're looking for is compromise.
It's just a thing you do when you're in a relationship and you love each other. Sometimes you do shit that you don't want to do. First of all, Aiden versus Carrie. Right? Aiden wants to go to the countryside and he wants Carrie to join him, but Carrie does not like the countryside and she wants to back out. But then she kind of submits to it and decides that she will join. Who do you think is the one who is a little bit unreasonable? Which side are you on? Tell me the truth, Mary. Did you look at this scene and you were thinking, oh my God, Carrie is such a spoiled little brat who doesn't want to go to the countryside?
I'm what you call a bona fide city girl. I'm a girl about town.
Or were you on the opposite side and you're looking at Aiden like, what is your problem? Why are you forcing me to go somewhere I clearly do not want to go?
Pack your bags, little lady. You're coming to the country with me.
So clearly, we have two people who have different interests, or their lifestyle is, honestly, I wouldn't say totally different, but there are some aspects that are not really matching, like the Aiden's chill side country, doing things with wood and, getting his hands in it, and Carrie, more a city girl who enjoys going to the party, drinking cocktails, chatting with her girlfriends. And at the end of the day, even if you're with someone who you find very compatible, maybe you totally share the same interest, there will be a point where you won't really agree on something, and the famous compromise, it's gonna enter the game. And look, Aiden and Carrie, They've been dating before, so this is not their first rodeo when it comes to differences.
All right, it's your last chance to attend a fabulous party with a fabulous girl.
Well, as tempting as it sounds, would it be okay if I stayed on dry land for the night?
Yeah, of course. Meeting the parents. Oh, so big.
You'll meet him some other time.
Okay.
Let's say that there were instances where they just respected one another, didn't push one another to do what they want, and it was okay. But clearly, something changed. Something is different. There is no part of Aiden that understands Carrie. He just wants her to come with him, and period. So let's try to understand a little bit Aiden's motives for his not so pleasant behavior. And I'm gonna also explain why it's not the best way how he asked Carrie to come, or basically just told her that that's what they're doing, and period. The first thing is that, Aiden, there were some signs that this is actual part of his lifestyle.
Go get him. Excuse me? Oh, he's perfect for you. I'll come visit you and the children at your country cabin upstate.
I think we're staring. Look away.
Almost foreshadowing what's gonna happen. Maybe even showing that this is a part of Aiden's identity. So he naturally also wants to share it with his partner. We also know that Aiden, since the get-go, was someone who is very interested in long-term committed relationships. And if this is a part of his life, obviously he wants to share it with Carrie. Then we need to kind of look at the situation for what it is, or what is the history between Aiden and Carrie, and why he might be more demanding for her to join rather than asking. They do not have the most favorable history, okay? It ain't sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. It's thorns and deep dark waters. And, I need to get out of there. Which maybe makes Aiden feel like he wants Carrie to be all in. Carrie to prove to him that she is all in. Pushing her to join him in the countryside could very well just be his way of expecting Carrie to show him that she is really into this, for real. She is willing to accept his world so far. And we talked about it so many times in the relationship, the development, the end, and then start it again. It does seem that Aiden keeps on giving up things for Carrie, giving his own well-being. The relationship was pushed from her side, playing on his vulnerability. And the second thing is, when he asked her to not engage anymore with Big, she couldn't do that. So in some way, maybe this is also Aiden's almost a request. If he's willing to do all of this for her, she needs to also do it for him. Now, apart from this already being very risky, because when you start to have a relationship where it's like tick for tack type of thing, or counting how much you gave, how much I gave, and la-di-da-di-da, it's not really partnership. But sometimes it goes in that direction when you feel like you've been giving so much of yourself that now you're almost feeling like, let's reevaluate, okay? The tables need to turn somehow. And maybe you get even into the mindset that now you start tracking every little freaking thing. Past trauma fucks us up, okay? Now, here's the thing. If Aiden allows Carrie to say no, then he's also exposed to the very reality that maybe Carrie is not willing to really fully accept Aiden and his world, that she's not really interested in who he is and what he likes, and that she would want to share that with him. Maybe him not allowing Carrie to back out is a way of him preserving the perspective of the relationship he has. Because if he would have to really have a conversation about it, who knows? Maybe Carrie would just say no, and he would have to accept that that's the reality of their relationship. So far, it felt like he was giving up a lot for Carrie, and he never really got the same treatment in return. So it's almost like he does not even want to hear that Carrie won't do it. And it's his way of for his needs to be respected, not realizing that it's, again, just a push and it's not a good thing for the relationship. And that's the thing. Despite understanding all of this, despite knowing or speculating, let's say, where is he coming from, the approach of him demanding Carrie to go with him and not giving her an option is not okay. And it's not okay because it's driven by fears, expectations, and not by partnership. If it was actually coming from a good, healthy place, then he would have no problem when Carrie said no to explain to her why is this important to him. What does it mean for him, for Carrie to come, and for the relationship, and how it does make him feel like she's actually in it. And after that, allow Carrie to give her reasons why she doesn't want to do it or why she feels uncomfortable. And then kind of come to the agreement that works for both of them. Now, I do want to preference one thing here. I think it's very common that the conversations go down exactly the way it went down between Carrie and Aiden. Not the best. Because when you're focused on getting your partner to do things that you want to do, sometimes you're not really handling the situation the best, okay? I think it's very normal. But maybe it would help if we reminded ourselves in that time or when it happens that, okay, let's handle this a little bit better, in a way that is good for both of us. And start with a simple question, like, why is this important to you? And then be open to listen and be open to that doesn't necessarily mean that they will just decide and go with you. The point is not, I'm going to tell them why I want them to go with me or do this thing with me. And just because I told them, they should accept. All in all, we can say that Aiden didn't handle this one in the best way. But what about Carrie? Now, I'm going to start with the thing that is, it's sus in itself, okay? Or it's not the best. When Aiden expressed, the desire to go to the cabin in the countryside and so on, Carrie was immediately like, no, I'm a city girl and that's a no.
No, I can appreciate it from here. I'm the kind of girl that goes to a late movie in the middle of the week. I'm crazy.
I know it.
Again, why is it just a plain no? Why is Carrie just looking from her perspective? How will this impact her and how she does not want it? It does not look that she herself is actually willing to understand, I don't feel really the most comfortable going to the countryside. Is there a way for me to sit this one out? She herself had the opportunity to try to meet Aiden, and she decided to just say no. And when she said no, that probably triggered Aiden in being even more like, no, you're coming. Because for him, this is like, for all the reasons that we just talked about, a way of how Carrie is not in it for him, right? Potentially, she's in it for how the relationship makes her feel good without the need to actually accept the full life and the partner you are with. But then after that, she did the typical, it's a compromise, right? I'm just gonna submit to it because, things you do for love. Almost like she heard that somewhere, which we all did. And then we just accept that, compromise is needed. That's a part of a relationship. So she's gonna do what a good girlfriend does. She is gonna sacrifice herself to show Aiden how good of a girlfriend she is.
I guess I'll have to brave the wilderness on my own. No, not on your own with Aiden. And I love Aiden. And Aiden loves the country. So maybe I'll love the country.
And yes, Mary, both you and me are rolling our eyes. First of all, if a relationship is good and loving and healthy and so on, I find it very difficult that you feel like you're doing such a crazy, what do I need to do now just to show him that I'm a good girlfriend? It's a bit, I don't know, I would like to believe, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but that usually if a person explains to you why does it matter to them for you to do certain things with them, you actually want to do it. You actually understand how this helps your person feel better and you want to do that for them. I would expect if you're with someone, you truly do want to understand who they are fully, right? In this case, if Carrie truly wanted or truly loved Aiden, she would actually want to know who Aiden is. She would want to know, what is he doing at the cabin? What is the passion that he has? So this to me is very like, oh my God, poor me, I have to sacrifice, but missing the point that, well, it wouldn't really feel like that if you would truly understand your partner. But that's the thing. She didn't even give it a possibility to understand, nor did Aiden. They just went with, this is how you do. And then on top of that, she also wants to invite a friend to join her because she already knows that this is not gonna work, that she's gonna lose her mind in the countryside. Why is she already thinking that this will be the situation? Well, because they do not talk about it. Imagine if Aiden and Carrie would be open, if Carrie would express that her worry is that she's gonna eat herself alive, not knowing what to do, she's gonna be bored, then maybe they would talk about how can they make sure that she is not bored. How can Aiden include her in his work, in his activities? Then maybe they could also understand if Aiden is expecting for Carrie to go with him to the countryside, but he's doing his stuff on his own and she's alone in the cabin, like, come on, that's also not okay. And all of that would be resolved if they, say it with me, would talk about it. Yay! See, it's not that hard. For some. So Carrie does a checklist. This is how a relationship should be. We compromise even though we hate things, and we're on our merry way. They go to the countryside and Carrie is loving it. I know. I was shocked. Carrie was shocked. And you're shocked now because you know that that's not how it went down. Just playing. The picture is clear. Aiden is excited. He is happy about being there, while Carrie is hating it.
But I put in a hot water heater all by myself. So what do you think? Scary as you thought it'd be?
No. God, no. It was scarier.
She doesn't understand why the F does she need to be stuck there when she could be drinking cocktails in the city. And for the cherry on top, when she is inside the cabin, there is someone lurking through the window. A pervert, it's a squirrel. She saw Jason, okay, from the Friday 13. It's the woods, it's cabin, it's two people in love, right? A perfect setup for...
What is it? Oh, God! What happened? You okay?
Giant squirrel in that window right there.
Yeah, that's my squirrel.
Now, we are supposed to believe that this is real. That someone sees a squirrel. A squirrel on their window and they don't go, oh my God, look how cute the squirrel. In which books did we learn that squirrels are giant rats that are gonna kill us? Where? Did Carrie ever look at the animals, the animal books for kids, and you click on it, how they sound like? Why the fuck is Carrie afraid of a squirrel? Well, let me tell you why. It all goes back. No, there is no story like that. It's stupid. Honestly, I do not know what is the point of all these city girls goes to country in the countryside and it's such horror. You know, they step in the shit and it's like, oh my God, how can I handle this? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then congratulations. You avoided, like I said before, most of the Christmas movies. The bright side of being in the countryside is that Carrie has time to think and to work and to write her column. And the question is simple. How far should compromising go?
How much of ourselves should we be willing to sacrifice for the other person before we stop being ourselves? In a relationship, when does the art of compromise become compromising?
Not to be rude, but Carrie ain't the person who should be asking this question, okay? I'm sorry. Going into the countryside is not a way for you to be, how much will I sacrifice? Girl, did you forget how much you pushed Aiden to sacrifice on fundamental things like accepting the ex you cheated on with? Carrie is the Lulu. The first glimpse of her needing to compromise, to do something that she does not like, for Aiden to be a good girlfriend in this relationship, oh my God, how far do we go? I'm being a little bit of an asshole, but that's, it is a bit silly, isn't it? So Carrie, let's calm down. You need to take some chocolate. This is just you spending some time in the countryside while Aiden literally had to accept you still hanging out with the person you cheated on with. Like, okay, the math ain't mathing. Now, when it comes to when does compromise become much more than just a simple compromise, is basically when you start to lose yourself in order to accommodate the other person or the relationship. Or when one person is always getting what they want and you don't. That's when the compromise becomes dangerous. Or vice versa, when neither of you never wants to do anything for the other person. Like, honestly, I might be ignorant, but I really do not understand how that relationship looks like. But there are signs, okay? There are signs, and all of us know it. You know when you've done or you've given so much and you don't get anything in return. But sometimes we just like to ignore it. I was someone who kept on fighting to get my things, right? To do things that I want to do. And I never succeeded, okay? And it just slowly and very surely happened that I just lost even the capability to even express what do I actually want. Because it was denied so many times that I was even like, I just became very, I don't even know what I want. I just let the other person decide everything. And that's the scary part when it comes to compromises. When you're the one who's constantly compromising and neglecting yourself, you don't even realize when you lose the ability to even understand what is it that you actually want. So to add to what would be also a real concern is if you yourself start feeling very drained, very exhausted, you are just, you just lack energy for everything. And you never seem to get the recognition or the appreciation from your partner for everything that you do, right? That paired with everything I said before would be like, let's stop, let's sit down, let's journal. Let's make ourselves see that this is bullshit, okay? But when you think that you're compromising too much, but in reality, you're just a bit too focused on yourself and your perspective, is when you never really recognize how other person is showing up for you, is supporting you, is doing their part of the, let's say, compromise, if we want to say it like that, right? Now, here things get tricky because sometimes people will neglect what you do for them because for them, that's not important. For them, that's like, it's not my problem that you went to this class with me. I could have gone alone. Yes, babe, but you kind of asked me, you wanted, and I went because I wanted us to do things together, to support you. Well, that is your problem, not mine. When those conversations happen, it is again a very selfish and self-centered approach because you are again treating this partner as though their effort to support you means nothing. And the funny thing is, it only means nothing when you expect them to do the same thing. They won't say it at that time. Look, if you're going with me here, like, please don't expect me to go to this thing or whatever. No, it won't be a problem, but it will be a problem when now you want them to do something and suddenly everything you did was not them asking at all. That's, again, like I would say, a very toxic behavior, very self-centered. And I would try to get away from a partner like that. But I'm sometimes too harsh, okay? Try to talk about it, okay? Conversation is the key. Sometimes, bitch, run. So Carrie basically sees this whole cabin experience as total inconvenience. There is not even a small part of her who actually wants to share something with Aiden. It's just that she needs to do this to be a good girlfriend, but this is so annoying.
Well, so how is it? How is the house?
The house? What house?
She's got squirrels running in and out of there. It's Animal Farm. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
You didn't say that to him, did you? No.
He thinks I love it.
Charlotte has some words of wisdom, right? She encourages Carrie to join Aiden, to help him with his work, to spend time with him and get included in this life of his or this part of his life. And Carrie is ready to put in the work.
All right.
Then we get into such a funny scene of how she falls into the mud every time she tries to help Aiden. And yeah, I guess that's, how we are going with. If you are a girl like Carrie, a city girl, you can't even stand still in mud, okay? It's just impossible. Your feet are not used to that terrain, okay? You're just gonna fall. That's it. Now, Carrie might look at this situation as how she is compromising again. Look, I'm even trying to help you with shit, even though I hate it. But in reality, is it really a compromise, or is she just going through the motions? She's just doing things, but there is no sense of actually wanting to be there with Aiden, to do this with Aiden. It's just about how she will do the things that will mark her as a good girlfriend. And that's why there is also this notion, and I think I talked about it, how compromise is doesn't really have a place in a relationship. Because when you actually want to do something for the person, because of the love that you share with them, because you want to know them, because of the partnership, it doesn't really feel like compromise. It might feel like, okay, I'm doing this, like it's not my cup of tea, but I want to show support to you or share this thing with you. And there is a part where you actually want to do it. But in Carrie's case, that would be considered as even a real compromise. I'm giving up on a part of myself or something that I want or like for you to be happy. But not because I also want you to be happy. So the source of doing something is not love for the other person, but it's obligation. Now, this attempt to help Aiden, luckily, is soon to be over. You see, as she told him when they were back at home, she actually had a meeting later that day. So she decided to go back to the city, take a shower, and attend this meeting. And we see Carrie having dinner with Big. Yes, Big has become the new editor at Carrie's column. If you didn't know, the business that Big had, and he's like almost the next Trump and so on, is editing. Okay, in that time, it was something that was still a new thing, right? I have no idea what I'm talking about because everything that I'm saying is nonsense. She met Big because they are such good friends. That's why she lied to her current partner, Aiden, about the meeting. You see, spending time with the person you're supposed to love in the countryside versus lying and going to the city to have a nice dinner with your ex, who previously you cheated with on Aiden. Make it make sense. Okay. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. This is, at the end of the day, just another compromise. You see, Aiden did accept that Carrie cannot ditch or cut Big out of her life. But Carrie also understands that it does hurt Aiden. So the compromise is simple. She can hang out with Big and she doesn't have to tell Aiden. So everyone is happy. The good doll, what you don't know cannot hurt you, right? The jewel of relationships. So the question is, why the fuck would Carrie do this? And it's quite simple. Well, Carrie is in it for the double win. She can have the cake and eat it too. She can preserve her independency with choosing for herself who she's gonna see and not just listen to Aiden. And she can also preserve the good girlfriend image in front of Aiden, as long as he doesn't know about it. Look, she knows that she would never cheat on Aiden again. She would never betray him the way she did in the past. The problem is, she's failing to realize that this is the exact betrayal that put them in the first place where they are. Sure, it could be a compromise, or she's just, compromising the relationship again. She's lying to Aiden and not only disrespecting him, she's also very condescending towards him, right? She'll decide what's best for him. She knows what will hurt Aiden or not hurt Aiden, because Aiden is just a little kid that she needs to protect. To me, it's clear that there is no equality between Carrie and Aiden, and there can actually never be. Carrie sees Aiden as in some way beneath her, right? not really directly, but with her actions, right? It's almost like Aiden is a little bit more dumb, a little bit more, she can convince him in certain things. It's seen from the whole get-go since they started till today. In some way, it looks like Carrie is even valuing more her city life and her way of living versus how Aiden lives and how Aiden is. One might say that the way she's treating Aiden is how Big is treating Carrie, right? As less than. And the dangerous part is that when it happens like that in relationship, it's not even about that someone is mean-spirited, right? Of course, there are extremes where someone literally thinks that someone is below them and they treat them that way, like abusive, violent, and so on. But then there is this subtle kind of inequality. And it's what we see in Carrie. It's the idea that they are, or that this is a perfect relationship and Aiden is so good for her, but underneath it all, she does feel like she's above Aiden in some way. She doesn't respect him the same way she respects Big. So it's almost like she herself is unaware of how she actually sees Aiden, or doesn't want to be aware of it. And it basically shows again how this relationship is right on the outside, picture perfect, but there is no real partnership between the two of them. And it will never be, because Carrie can't have that. She cannot actually have an open, honest relationship with someone. So looking at this whole situation, her compromise with Aiden, when in reality she is so bothered by the fact that she's in the countryside, and then maybe having this self-compromise with not telling Aiden, so she's protecting him. She might think it's compromise, but she delulu, okay? She's just avoiding an honest conversation, and she is taking away the opportunity for her to build a true partnership with her partner, aka Aiden. Because at this point, who is her partner? We're gonna get into it, but to me personally, Carrie is prioritizing Big over her partner. It's not even herself. She's prioritizing Big. Let that sink in. But shit goes down even more. Let me take a sip, okay? So Carrie and Big have this dinner. And Carrie actually confides in a way with Big, right? She shares with him how she feels about this whole countryside and how she really loves Aiden. And then she pauses for a second. She almost feels like this might be weird. Talking about Aiden like that. So she asked Big, it's okay, right? It's okay if we talk about our partners like that, right?
I really did, but nature and me, it's unnatural. And I love being with Aiden. I mean, there is no one in the world that I would rather be. I'm sorry. Is it okay to talk to you about this stuff? Are you okay?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm okay.
So you're trying to tell me that the two of you are just friends and all the past is in the past, and yet talking about your current partner, you clock that it might be uncomfortable. Let that sink in. Mentioning her partner makes her pause and ask Big if it is okay to talk about him. Now, Carrie, now, bestie, what's up with that? If there's really nothing between the two of you and you're such friends that you sneak behind Aiden's back to meet him, right? How come you almost sense that there is a certain discomfort talking about other people? Bitch, because it is. Because her and Big cannot be friends, okay? That just ain't happening. Can you imagine being bestie with someone who you literally destroyed your relationships with? I mean, Big, his marriage, Carrie, her relationship, but now you're friends? Like, bitch, please. On top of that, did we forget that Big hated Aiden from the get-go? He never actually met the guy. He never actually had any conversation with the guy. And in a way, he was even happy how he can snatch Carrie away from him. So why does Carrie think that Big will actually give her a valid, solid advice when it comes to Aiden? The man does not like the guy, period. Honestly, all of this makes you wonder if this is actually about being really friends and Carrie even confiding in Big in some way, or is it just feeding on the power dynamics? The power dynamic where Carrie is in this relationship with the perfect guy and she can throw it in Big's face. And on the other side, for Big being the one where Carrie almost complains about Aiden. I wouldn't say this is real friendship. The whole thing of her lying to Aiden that she met with Big, but at the same time telling Big that she loves Aiden. Like, what the fuck is that? It's all pretend. It's just playing this role when in reality, she's just trying to, boost her ego. Carrie is actually happy, that she can talk about Aiden to Big. She's happy that they can have these types of conversations. And if Big ever meets someone...
If you ever meet someone, I want you to feel...
I met someone.
Oh?
Well, I guess Carrie didn't expect that, It's very fun to have these conversations when she's, again, having the upper hand. Big shares that he is actually dating someone quite famous. It's an actress. And without a beat skipped, Carrie does what Carrie does best. She bashes this poor person she doesn't even know like it is her job.
I do know she wears many wrong things on the red carpet. I cannot believe you're dating someone named after a tree.
What's that, besties? Sure, of course. Like, friends always start bashing your love interest the second they find out you are with someone. Right? The fake ones, okay? The fake ones. And this little friendship between Big and Carrie will be exposed by the fakeness it is. Big is infatuated with this actress, this new interest of his. And he spares no time getting into the details of how perfect everything is, how sexy she is, how she wore red panties and...
Kept her high heels on. I lifted her up. I put her on the bed.
Okay, that's plenty. Thanks.
Now, who wouldn't be bothered by a man describing a night date or a person they're interested in that way? But you'd be wrong. Carrie is not worried about the fact how Big is describing other women. No, Carrie is struggling with the fact that Big has another woman and he's actually very interested in her.
Well, that was about 30 seconds. I think I did pretty good.
Again, this friendship only works if Carrie has the upper hand. If Carrie can talk about her relationship with Aiden, but if Big has another interest, it's a bit uncomfortable. I guess that's friendship between two ex-lovers, right? And if that's not enough of the proof of how good of friends they are, Big seems to enjoy Carrie not being able to actually handle it. Maybe it's a little reminder how he still has power over Carrie. He still knows how to push her emotional buttons. Sure, Aiden is the person that she loves so much and there's no one else she'd rather spend time with, but she also gets upset if I have someone else. Interesting. This friendship is exposed for what it actually is. It is fake. On one hand, you can say that Big was provoking Carrie by talking about his new interest like that because, again, he's not a real friend to Carrie. And instead of actually confiding in her, it was all about how potentially he can get back to her about her gushing over Aiden, right? And Carrie on the other side, lying to Aiden because there's nothing between her and Big and they're just friends, and yet gets upset when he talks about another woman, not because the way he's talking, which is totally yuck, but because it's another woman, and that's just not so easy to hear.
The thing of it is, I can't get her out of my head.
Now, Big continues how this actress is mad about him, and Carrie agrees someone is crazy, but she's thinking big.
She's crazy about me. Willow Summers is crazy about me.
Well, someone's crazy.
And when he shares how he walked from her hotel back to his place, it makes Carrie a little bit shook it. He actually walked. Big being with an actress, someone higher than his level, makes him even walk.
Yeah.
makes him act a little bit like Carrie is acting when it comes to Big. The infatuation of someone who he sees as above him and how he can get them.
Fuck. I think I'm in love.
And just like that, the same way Carrie just became crazy about Big, Big became crazy about this actress. All it takes is a higher status. Clearly, Carrie is not taking him serious at all. I mean, have we forgotten? If Big was actually ready for a real serious relationship, he would be with Carrie. So there is no, he's really in love with this person. That just does not exist. I mean, think about it. If, like, it could be quite logical what Carrie's thinking. He married Natasha and still cheated on with Carrie. Now, Carrie misses to see that he's a douche, but she is very willingly to see that that's because she is the one and that's the only relationship that will actually last, okay? Everything else is just a joke. And for those in the back who didn't get why is this not real friendship when it comes to Carrie, well, wouldn't a real friend be interested in getting to know who your friend is dating? And if your friend were talking like that, like objectifying and sexualizing, maybe she would say, hey, why are you just looking at her from that perspective? Like, why do you have the need to talk about her sexually? And why are you afraid to actually be committed, right? And if you don't think like that, you need some new friends. I'm sorry. So Carrie is back in the countryside with Aiden. And this time she brought Samantha. She needs some entertainment.
You've got to be kidding me.
Hey, come on. We're baking a pie here.
No, you're baking a pie. I'm just baking.
She also decided that she's gonna get into this country life a little bit more committed, okay? She's gonna bake a pie. Now, Samantha very quickly finds her own way of entertainment, so Carrie's kind of left alone.
Look! I made crust. Now all we have to do is put apples in and it's pie.
This is the way she's gonna show how good of a girlfriend she is to Aiden, and potentially hiding the fact that she is not a good girlfriend. Maybe that guilt is playing in. Or maybe when she heard how Big actually is with someone else, she ran straight back into proving Aiden how good of a girlfriend she is, right? Sometimes you are with someone, you don't treat them the best because deep down you actually want to be with someone else. But when that someone else gives you a clear no, then suddenly your first person is, the best. Now you're gonna do everything for them.
Aiden worked very hard on this place.
So take a pick. Which one is it? Is Carrie feeling guilt and that's why she is now trying to be a good girlfriend to Aiden, integrate in his lifestyle? Or the second one, she got a reminder that Big is not available. But what happens when you try to do something for another person out of guilt or out of fear?
Oh, God! Damn it! Oh, God!
Are you okay?
No, I am not okay! I hate that screw. I hate this oven. I hate this.
Which again just shows that Carrie, in my personal opinion, doesn't really love and respect Aiden the way she would love and respect Big. I mean, if you think about it, she was even willing to change her whole life in New York to move to Paris for Big, right? Of course, Paris might be more aligned with her lifestyle, like fashion and still city life. But compare that huge move to a weekend in the countryside with Aiden, I think it's very clear where she is willing to do the compromise and where she isn't. Where the compromise is actually because she loves that person, and when the compromise is just because that's the right thing to do. I've said it before, but Carrie is in this relationship with Aiden because it makes her feel good, as though she's capable of having a good relationship, but in reality, she doesn't really like him.
Sorry. I don't hate the house.
Now, all of this leads to Carrie and Aiden finally finding a compromise, a real compromise, where Carrie will visit the countryside on, every now and then. He's not going to push it. They're also going to put the air conditioning in. And at the end, it actually made Carrie start appreciating the countryside. And that is the thing. That's the dangerous thing that I was talking about before. You see, you will always find a way to stay together. Breaking up or understanding that you're just not good for one another will, especially if you're someone who is raised in the sense of loyalty in relationship and so on, you'll always find a way to actually stay together. Even when nothing is really resolved, even when the fundamentals are still very fucked up, you will make up, you will agree on some surface level thing, and that will make it, or that will make both of you feel like you're doing something. You're improving the partnership and relationship. But as we see with Carrie and Aiden, there is no real partnership. She literally lied to go and meet with her ex. Let that sink in. And I think that's very common. I know I did it. Like, I was in long-term relationship and I kept on compromising on things, and I kept on, finding ways to stay together because it almost became a habit. It just became, we've been together for so long that it really does not make sense to actually end it. When in reality, from my perspective and how I lived it, of course, there are always two sides to a story, and then the truth, something like that. I was just getting more and more submissive and losing myself. Because the reality is, if there is no real sense of equality, if there's not real genuine support and trust and respect for one another, it's not gonna work. But you can convince yourself it does. So how do you see this compromise versus just being selfish? Or better, when is it a compromise, a real compromise? And when is it actually damaging to the relationship or damaging to an individual person? And as always, trust your individuality. By the way, I have a full other script with what happens next.
Look, he's gonna come up here and we're gonna have a quick talk, and then he's gonna go right back to the city where he belongs.
And I thought I'm gonna talk about it in this video, but this video is getting long. So next one.